What's going on, everybody? It's Rick. So, this here's my natural bedding bin. I like kind of looking at the bubble wrap. I got a little baby worm right here. So I'll leave them in there. Bunch of little baby worms right there. Okay, I guess I put a bag in here the last time. Okay, well, I got some kind of growth here. This fig's looking better in here than it did in the sand that I had for it. Okay, definitely some worm activity, but not much in terms of any extra food, which is good to see. Oh, there's that acorn, and it's got a worm right in there. As I said before, this bin has grooves on the bottom, so I try to get down to the very bottom, just so I don't have anything packed way down in there. I want to move this food back into the feeding area, but I want to incorporate this side and see how it's looking. So I'm going to quick turn this bin around. That will make my life, wow, a little easier. Look at all those worms. Okay. Well, to me, it looks like I am going to get that spider web off my hand, not cover this area up, so these can dry out a little bit and hopefully force all those worms over to that more moist feeding area. But I do have a bunch of gunk on this glove that I'm going to quick wipe off. Okay, there we go. So what I'm going to do is, well, I definitely want to try to keep some of this to go on top. So what I may do, that's a great thing, I'm just changing my mind as I go. I'm going to drop that guy right there in the middle. So I'm going to put the feeding more in the middle so I can help draw those worms back over to this side. And then probably the next feeding I'll do out this way. So if there were any stragglers, it kind of helps keep pulling them over, and then I can harvest that side. So some of this fresh dry bedding. I have a little bit of moldy coffee from the K-Cups for them. Oh, the lid has a little bit on there too, so that'll go in. Okay. Hopefully everybody had a nice Memorial Day weekend. I went down and visited my brother. He gave me a nice big bag of food scraps. There is some of the liquid from the scraps that have been thawing out. As you see, a bunch of orange peels in there, which is fine for the worms because as they break down by the microbes in the bin, the worms will really go after it. And I've put like halves of oranges in, halves of onions, tops of onions, peppers, hot peppers, and it really doesn't bother the worms. I don't think it's their number one meal or their first choice. However, they do get in there and go after it. So I want to make sure I put this back before I forget. And then I also have some asparagus. The asparagus here is frozen, just pulled out of the freezer. So I'll add some of these leaves to hopefully help insulate any of the worms. And then on top of the feeding, I'm going to add my ground up eggshells. Just a grit source for the worms. This also helps to buffer the pH. When you add a lot of nitrogen-rich foods into your worm bin or even into your compost pile, there's the ability for it to become more acidic. So this kind of helps bring everything back towards neutral. Ooh, this is my plan now. I'm going to cover these guys with this. Okay. And then I'm going to add a little bit more fresh bedding back here. Beautiful. Looks really good. Help me to clean my gloves off. And then we'll go over top with a little bit of this worm chow I have. Just another food source for the worms. Not necessary, but I had it. It was expired oats that I blended up, pulverized eggshell, flour, and cornmeal, all of which was expired. I will cover this area up. And then, now that I'm going to try to let that side start to dry out a bit, oh man, this piece is really big. There's that. There we go. There's that. So, This just stays down in my basement. It does get some light, kind of like from 4 in the evening to 7, where this bin is. So with leaving the lid off, this will actually get a little light, hopefully force those worms down. And as that starts drying out a little bit, they get enticed to enter the more moist feeding area. Hopefully everybody had a great Memorial Day weekend. Mine was nice, little short in terms of the travel. With visiting my brother, it was 5.5 hours down, and I think 6.5 coming back. We hit a lot more traffic than we usually do on the way back, but it was still a good time. Got to visit with my brother, his wife, and my niece. Hopefully everybody's worm bins are doing well. Your gardens are starting to wake up. I know mine's really growing a lot right now, so it's nice to see, and hopefully I'll be harvesting some fresh vegetables here soon. If you guys have any questions, make sure you drop them down in the comments. Thanks for coming along, checking out the video. Everybody have a great day.